Hi, everyone. Welcome to Everyday Real English from Real Life podcast.
Welcome to Real English Podcast. I'm Brendy.
And I'm Annie. If you enjoy our deep dives into fascinating topics, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends.
So today we're doing a deep dive into something really personal, but also, well, universal. It's your inner voice. You know, that constant chatter in your head, those silent thoughts, maybe even like little conversations you have with yourself all day long.
We all have it, definitely.
Yeah, we all do, even if we don't always tune into it. What's your saying right now, maybe?
That's a really good place to start, actually, because, it's much more than just some quirky little habit.
Right.
This inner voice, it's fundamental, a really powerful part of being human. It can be a huge source of strength, clarity, guidance.
But it can also be tricky.
But it can also, sometimes be a pretty big challenge. So our mission for this deep dive is to unpack what this self-talk actually is, how it works in our mind.
How it affects us.
Exactly. Its effects, which can be quite surprising sometimes, and most importantly, how you can learn to harness it, make it work for you in daily life and to boost performance.
Okay, let's get into that. Our research, it really points to self-talk being our ability to silently use language, to reflect on things, process experiences.
Internally.
And it happens way more than you probably think. I mean, get this. Some studies suggest maybe between a third and even half of our waking hours, our minds are just drifting, talking to ourselves.
Wow, that much.
Yeah, it really is one of your kind of hidden superpowers.
Yeah.
Always there.
It absolutely is. And this inner voice, it's an amazing tool. It serves us in so many ways.
Like what specifically?
Well, for instance, it's not just about remembering a shopping list, though it helps with that too, keeping info active short term.
Right, your working memory.
Exactly. But it goes deeper. It's critical for planning and simulating things, like when you mentally rehearse what you're going to say in a big meeting.
Oh yeah, definitely done that. Or an interview.
Or an interview, precisely. You're running through scenarios. It even helps us, control ourselves, motivate ourselves.
Like telling yourself, you can do this.
Yeah, you've got this. Right before a challenge.
Yeah.
That internal pep talk. And maybe the most sort of magical part, it helps us make sense of everything.
How so?
It lets us create narratives, stories about our lives, about our experiences. And those stories, they shape our whole sense of self, our identity, who we are.
Wow. So it's like the narrator of our own life story, constantly editing.
Pretty much, a constant companion, this remarkable tool. But here's where it gets really interesting.
Uh-oh. The catch.
Well, sometimes this superpower, it kind of jams up.
Jams up, maybe.
Yeah, it jams up on us, and often exactly when we need it most. So instead of clear thinking or solutions,
You get stuck.
you get stuck in these negative thought loops, just worrying, ruminating, going over and over the same thing.
That sounds familiar. The research calls this the dark side of the inner voice, right? Chatter.
That's the term chatter. It's that awful feeling when you're trying so hard to work through something in your head, but you're just spinning your wheels, making zero progress.
Or just beating yourself up like, ugh, I'm such an idiot, or I'll never figure this out.
Exactly that. And look, chatter is part of being human. It's baked in, probably an evolutionary thing to spot danger. We all get it.
But it can cause real problems.
But when it gets out of control, it can really sink us in three really important areas. First, thinking and performance.
Okay. How does it affect that?
Well, it basically eats up your attention. All that noise makes it incredibly hard to focus on what you actually need to do.
Like trying to read.
Have you ever read a page in a book, maybe even two, and then you stop and realize you have absolutely no memory of what you just read?
Guilty. Yes, definitely.
That's chatter. It's hijacking your mental bandwidth, pulling you away.
Okay, so it messes with focus.
Yeah.
What's the second area?
Relationships. This one's tough. When we're stuck in chatter, what do we often want to do?
Talk about it. Vent.
Vent. Exactly. We share our problems, often over and over. And while friends, family, they want to listen, they want to support us.
It can be draining for them.
It can be really draining. Hearing the same negative loop without any movement towards solutions, it can unfortunately push people away, even people who care deeply. There's only so much they can take.
That's a hard truth. That makes sense, though. Just dwelling doesn't help anyone after a point.
Yeah.
And the third area. You mentioned health earlier.
Right. Physical health. This is critical. Chronic chatter keeps your body's stress response switched on, constantly.
The fight or flight thing.
Exactly. But it's sustained. It's not supposed to be on all the time. This constant state taxes your whole system. It leads to physical wear and tear.
Like what kind of wear and tear?
Increased inflammation.
Yeah.
It can impact your cardiovascular health, even potentially make other serious conditions worse over the long haul. It's not just in your head.
Wow. No, it's a very real physical burden, too.
Definitely. It slowly chips away at your well-being.
Okay, so that really highlights the mind-body connection. Given how vital this inner voice is, but how easily it turns into this harmful chatter, what's the typical mistake people make? Do they just try to, shut it up?
That's often the first instinct, isn't it? Just stop thinking. But yeah, that's usually counterproductive. You can't just switch it off.
Because it's so fundamental.
Exactly. The good news is we don't want to silence this incredibly powerful tool. We want to learn how to harness it, to guide it, manage its energy constructively.
Okay, so not silencing, but steering.
Precisely. And scientists have actually found quite a few science-based tools to do just that, to manage it skillfully, not eliminate it.
All right, I'm ready for some tools. What's
Okay.
first? Our research mentioned something really interesting called distanced self-talk.
Yes, this one's fascinating.
So this means instead of the usual, I feel stressed or I messed up,
You talk to yourself using your own name or the pronoun you.
like Malala Yousafzai. The story goes, when she was under immense pressure, she'd ask herself, what would you do, Malala?
Exactly. It's like she was coaching herself, stepping back slightly, advising herself like a trusted friend.
And that little shift makes a difference.
A huge difference psychologically. It creates mental distance. You know, there's this thing called Solomon's paradox.
Solomon's paradox, what's that?
It's the observation that we humans are often much, much better at giving wise, objective advice to our friends than we are at applying that same wisdom to our own problems.
Huh. Okay, I can relate to that.
Right. So using you or your name helps you tap into that wiser external advisor perspective for yourself. It makes it easier to think through things calmly, objectively.
And the research backs this up.
Oh, yeah. Studies show it leads to calmer, more confident performance under stress and afterwards. Less shame, less going over and over it, less rumination.
That's a really practical tool. Does it work better for certain kinds of problems, like big emotional stuff versus, say, planning tasks?
That's a good question. It seems particularly helpful when you're really caught up in intense emotions, feeling overwhelmed by a mistake or facing a tough decision.
Because it gives you space from the feeling.
Exactly. It creates that little buffer, that psychological distance, so you can analyze the situation more rationally instead of just being swept away by the emotion, more cognitive, less reactive.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving from inside our heads, what about getting help from outside? The next tool is about other people as chatter advisors.
Right. So when we're stuck in that chatter loop, the first urge is often to vent, like we said.
Just get it out. Tell someone.
Which can feel good, right? And that sharing, that empathy you get, it can definitely strengthen friendships. Someone's listening, they care. But venting alone doesn't always help you actually solve the problem or break the chatter cycle. Sometimes if the other person just agrees with your negative spiral, it can even reinforce it.
Oh, interesting. So just finding someone who agrees isn't the goal.
Not necessarily for breaking chatter. The best kinds of conversations, the research suggests, do two key things. First, yes, they absolutely let you express your emotions. You need to feel heard and validated. That's crucial.
Okay, validation first.
But then the other person gently helps you broaden your perspective. They don't just nod along with the doom and gloom.
They challenge it a bit or offer a different view.
Exactly. They might ask questions that make you think differently or frame the problem in a new way or maybe share a relevant experience of their own, but without dismissing your feelings.
So it's a balance, listening and advising.
Precisely. So you need to choose your chatter advisors wisely. Look for people who are good at both parts, the listening and the constructive advising.
Got it. Find those wise friends.
Yeah.
Okay, and the final tool sounds almost magical, experiencing awe.
It really can feel that way.
So this isn't just like feeling happy. It's that specific, profound emotion you get when you encounter something just vast, indescribable.
Bigger than yourself.
Like a truly spectacular sunset, maybe, or thinking about outer space, or standing in front of something huge, like giant redwood trees, or a massive waterfall. That feeling that just stops you in your tracks.
That's exactly it. Something that transcends your everyday world, your usual frame of reference. And when we experience awe, something interesting happens internally.
What's that?
Scientists call it a shrinking of the self. In that moment of awe, faced with something so immense, so powerful, your own personal worries, your anxieties, that internal chatter, they suddenly feel smaller, less important.
Wow. It puts things in perspective.
A huge perspective shift. It kind of dwarfs your problems. That intense feeling, sometimes even humbling, it quiets that inner noise more effectively than just trying to force it to stop.
Like hitting a mental reset button. The world's grandeur just pushes your worries aside for a moment.
Beautifully put. It's a powerful reset.
Okay, so those are some great specific techniques.
Mm.
But beyond those moments, there's also the ongoing work of changing the content of our self-talk, right? So many of us get stuck in these negative patterns.
Oh, absolutely. We repeat these limiting phrases often without even noticing.
I could never wear that. I'm probably too old to start that now. Or, if you're learning something new, like a language, ugh, my English is terrible. I just can't do this.
Those thoughts really can hold you back, can't they? The key is first noticing them, becoming aware of that negative track playing, and then consciously choosing to flip the narrative.
Flip the narrative. I like that. So turning it around.
Actively turning those negative comments into something more positive, or at least more constructive and growth-oriented. So instead of, this is way too complicated, I'll never get it, try something like, okay, I'll tackle this from a different angle, or let me break it down into smaller pieces instead of, I'm definitely going to fail.
Reframe it as, I really want to succeed here, and I know I'll learn something valuable from trying no matter the outcome, or even, I'll give it my best shot. And for learning new skills, those specific phrases. Yeah, even simple repeated self-affirmations like, I am making progress. It doesn't have to be perfect right now, just consistent. Every day I'm getting a little better. It's okay to stumble. I can try again. And simply, I believe in myself. Saying those consistently. Does it really work? It can be incredibly powerful, making this a regular practice, catching the negative, flipping it to something constructive, morning, afternoon, night. It can genuinely shift how you feel, how you approach challenges, how you learn. It builds resilience. That feels like a really practical, everyday habit we could all build. Yeah. Okay, but now, you mentioned surprising research earlier. We've talked so much about positive self-talk being the goal. Right. But what about the opposite? Negative self-talk. Yeah. Self-criticism. Come on, you should have done better, or that was a really dumb mistake. We usually think that's just bad, right? Well, this is where things get nuanced and honestly quite fascinating. It raises a really important kind of counterintuitive point. Yeah. There are recent brain imaging studies, and they looked at performance in a very specific context. A short-term cognitive task. Think like solving a puzzle quickly under pressure. Right, a specific test. In that scenario, the groups who engaged in a certain type of self-criticism, they actually showed a bigger improvement in their scores compared to the groups using self-respect or positive self-talk. Wait, really? Yeah. Being hard on themselves helped them perform better in that moment? In that specific short-term task, yes. That's what the initial data suggests. Okay, my mind is a little blown. That seems to fly in the face of everything else. What could possibly explain that? What does it mean? It's definitely surprising, and researchers are still trying to fully understand it. One leading hypothesis is that in those very specific, high-pressure, short-term situations, maybe that self-criticism triggers a kind of less confident state. Less confident? How does that help? Paradoxically, that feeling might actually ramp up internal motivation and sharpen attention in that moment. It's like, uh-oh, I might fail, which could push you to try harder, focus more intensely, just to avoid that negative outcome. So it's like a short, sharp shock to the system. A burst of effort driven by fear of messing up. Possibly. A sort of compensatory effort. But, and this is absolutely critical, we must understand this is about very short-term cognitive boosts in specific tasks. Not a long-term strategy. Definitely not. The overwhelming scientific consensus, based on tons of research, is crystal clear. Chronic, long-term negative self-talk and self-criticism are incredibly harmful. Right, leading to anxiety, depression. Exactly. Low self-esteem, lack of confidence, it's damaging in the long run. Okay, so it's crucial to differentiate a potential momentary jolt for a quick task versus a sustained internal attack on your self-worth. That makes sense. Absolutely. It highlights the difference between a fleeting state change and a damaging trait. While there might be this very limited specific context where criticism gives a short edge, the long-term cost to your psychological health is just too high. So the ultimate goal is still that healthy, sustainable, inside-out approach. Genuinely believing in yourself, not relying on fear or criticism. Precisely. It just shows how complex our inner world really is, doesn't it? It really does. We've covered a lot today. We've seen how this inner voice is this constant, really powerful force in our lives. Shaping thoughts, feelings. Relationships, physical health, performance. It touches everything. And we've seen there's this growing toolbox
backed by science to help us manage it better.
Tools like distanced self-talk,
Finding those wise chatter advisors,
experiencing awe.
and that daily practice of consciously flipping the narrative towards the positive or constructive.
Even that surprising finding about short-term self-criticism, it just underlines how intricate the link is between what we say to ourselves and what we actually do.
It really does. Understanding the why and the when is just as important as the what.
So, wrapping this up, what's the big takeaway for everyone listening? What does this all mean for you navigating your life?
Well, think about this.
We spend so much time, energy, resources, learning how to communicate better with other people, right? For work, for relationships.
We take courses, read books.
Exactly. What if? What if we put just as much effort into learning how to communicate more effectively, more kindly, more constructively with ourselves?
That's a powerful thought.
Because that inner conversation, it's always happening. It's quietly shaping your reality from the inside. So maybe the invitation is just to be curious about it.
Listen to it.
Listen to it, notice its patterns, and then gently, patiently guide it, steer it towards where you want to go.
That's a deep dive that could genuinely change your world.
From the inside out.
Want to practice these phrases? Download your free PDF guide to review vocabulary, role plays, and quizzes. Find the link in the description and pinned comment, and feel free to share it with friends.
Like and subscribe for more English tips.